Well, it's 8:38 on Tuesday the 7th of April 2026, and it's cold this morning. Here's the hat and the jacket and the cold hands, so the camera will be moving a wee bit, or me, just to keep warm. It's a lovely, beautiful day. It's clear sky, blue. There's that freshness. And if I come around here, oh, you can see me. Okay, that's a bit better. So, I was supposed to do this recording yesterday, but as it turned out, that didn't happen. So here I am today. And the recording is about something that is hugely impactful. It's hugely an essence of every single being here on earth. Now that's naturally born. I cannot say for those who are cloned or who are not from this world. So I don't have that visibility in a certain way. I don't. So this topic is so important, and it needs to be addressed, and it needs to be honoured from a very simple point. It's a part of you. It's the part that creates the peace inside of you, and it's the part that will help you to resolve trauma. And I'll repeat that part. It is the part that helps you resolve trauma. You can use any type of technique you like, any type. But unless you're using this connection, that trauma is going to re-exist. Now, for the most part, that's 99.9% true. The experience and the knowledge of serving has shown me it can be removed, but it's a big ask to do it. So the topic is really quite beautiful. I mean, it's mighty beautiful, I gotta say. It's your inner child. And that's what we're talking about today. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we're sharing here anyway. Is that when you make the connection to your inner child, there is a space where the inner child is there, you're here, but it's never connected. And there's a point in your life that it will connect. This is not natural. I would say, I don't know, I'm not going to put expectations out there, but there are most probably a few who have come into this world that have always had that inner child connection. And so most that I've worked with, or everyone in fact that I've worked with, and myself, that inner child had to be created in connection, joined. And it's a challenge because that inner child, you know, you go through life, and I went through my teenagers and my whatever happened in my 20s, as not even knowing about an inner child. You know, I was just playing and doing, and yeah, I used to do some crazy things. I used to get really drunk. Oh my goodness. Oh. Yeah, there wasn't too many people that could drink me under the table in those days. Now, of course, I don't drink, but you know, all of that experience gives me the recognition of suffering. So I was using alcohol as a crutch, but I didn't have that connection to my inner child. So, you know, if you're smoking alcohol or doing drugs or, you know, smoking alcohol, where did I get that from? Oh, I'm on another plane, aren't I? Oh my goodness. If you're smoking, you're drinking alcohol, you're doing drugs, they're crutches. you know. Even coffee is a crutch. So it's when you do something consistently that you feel that you're nourished by, and you feel that you can relax because of. You can relax just breathing. This is it, you know. But it takes a lot, you know. I know I'm not making light of the joys of life that we can have. It's about like recognizing those aspects and doing it consciously. There's a big difference between having a cappuccino every day, without realizing that if I have this with joy, and if I have this because I'm choosing to share, it is 100% different energetically, and it's received differently. So alcohol is a wee bit the same, not quite the same, I must admit, but still, you know, it is what it is. And the inner child is not connected when we're doing all these things, because your inner child, when you connect with your inner child, there is no need, 100%, no need for alcohol, no need for drugs, no need for smoking, and no need for any form of addiction. Because the inner child is that essence, that core, that beauty, that purity that doesn't exist with attachment. So of course, what is alcohol? It's an attachment. What is smoking? It's an attachment. You can make all sorts of excuses. Like you can have like, oh, I don't know, I won't go there because it can be a wee bit delicate, but you can have all sorts of excuses for things, but hang on a second. The inner child doesn't have excuses. It's pure. And this is that connection. And to create that connection, one is going to be shown things that stop that connection. And, you know, it comes down to, how does that inner child trust you? Trust. Because you will never, ever, ever connect with your inner child at all if it does not trust you. So where does that trust come from? It comes from self. You consciously, as an adult, as a teenager, whatever, you have to recognize, I've got to trust myself. Not say it, but be it. Be it, trust in it. And then the inner child goes, oh, I can trust you. Oh, I remember the time you put me on the rocking horse and we fell off. Oh, I didn't trust you that time, so can I trust you this time? You know, there's these really powerful nuggets that need to be focused on, centered on, and that point of disconnection reconnected, and that's through trust. And of course that comes to surrender, like not having an attachment to whatever it was. Like it could be as simple as like I had a tantrum and I threw my teddy bear on the ground. That as an adult comes back to that inner child because it's pure. It doesn't know what it's doing. But that memory and that significance of that memory is so powerful, it is most probably controlling a lot of what you're doing. So if you're feeling disconnected from certain things, but you feel like, you know, something's not right, something is right, whatever, but it's not happening the way you expect it to or want it to, there's a very, very high possibility that the inner child is running that side. Now, inner child and ego, they are connected, that's for sure. So don't mistake, I'm talking the inner child, I'm not talking ego. The inner child is hurt, so its access to ego is instantaneous, and then ego is another program that runs and, you know, has its effect. But the inner child, once you own that inner child, once you create ownership as that connection, but once you recreate that connection with your inner child, then and only then will you start to see yourself in your beauty, in who you are. Yeah, look, you can, don't worry, I mean, I don't look in the mirror myself that often, but, you know, you don't need to look in the mirror, you just need to be. That's what I'm saying, is whatever's there, that's the love, you know, and that's where the inner child can feel relaxed. And it took me a while, you know. I used to drink a lot. Do you think my inner child's going to trust somebody who's drunk? Yeah, it was a bit of a challenge, but I got through it. You know, I had a lot of help. I think I had a lot of help from my eternal self, actually. Yeah, no one was holding my hand. I didn't have a guru, didn't have anyone. I just had to find it, you know, and it just was there. So, yeah, that's the inner child. And I encourage you all to take an opportunity to look at yourself. Now, please be gentle, because the inner child is, if it's not connected, if it's still in this vulnerable state, it'll feel it. So don't go at it like a hammer. Be very, very gentle. And then talk. And just go like, hi, I'm trying to connect with my inner self. If it feels strange that you would talk like that to yourself, don't let it stop you. Be bold. Be powerful. Own your truth. Allow yourself to be heard. Because here I am doing this video, right? But I could be talking to my inner child, and the thing being is that I could just talk. Excuse me. I could just talk. And just in that talking, there's that peace and there's that alignment, there's that wonderment that occurs. So take your time, feel into this. Maybe this is one of these videos that might require you to listen to it a couple of times, because then when you listen to it a couple of times, your inner child is going to appear. There's a high probability that that will happen if you listen to this a couple of times, because the inner child is the child that's going to want to listen to this again. Yeah, consider that. And that's a good sign. That's a really good sign. Anyway, I hope that's helped. I hope you're having a beautiful start to your day, and you have a beautiful day. I wish you all that. And if you need any feedback or you got any questions, just, you know, send me a message or whatever, email. I don't know. If you need to connect, you'll connect somehow. I honestly don't know how to say that part. It's really strange, even though I'm using this mechanism. But still, keep that inner child connection. Create that inner child connection. Once you connect it, it's magic, honestly. And there's that peace that comes with it. Doesn't mean the world changes. I mean, there's still challenges, but there's that knowing that there's two of you. This being that's there now, and the inner child that have come together. And that inner child in life expectancy times is between 0 to about 11 years old. So there's no absolute. So it's not like they're exactly 7 years old or they're exactly XYZ years old. No. There's a point in your dynamic which will be locked in. And it's over and above you, over and above your soul, over and above your life, where it locks in. I'm not sure of that mechanism myself. I know it exists, I've seen it, but I don't know what triggers it. So you're going to have an inner, that inner child is going to be there. But it's between like 0 and 11 years old where the inner child exists. More usually in the younger. I haven't once I've seen it in someone who's about 11 years old. and that was a very older beloved. So maybe more today, they're younger, I don't know. Could be something like that. Anyway, hope that helps. Hope that gives you something to consider in your journey for 2026 and going forward, and for today. And yeah, wishing you a beautiful day, like I say, and take care. Enjoy. Ciao. Bye.